Hi, and welcome to this Department of Early Learning webinar on the 2013 legislative session. I'm Amy Blondin, the Government and Community Relations Manager here at DEL. This is a very busy and very productive legislative session for early learning, and we know you have questions about what it all means. So I'm hopeful that this webinar will help address some of your questions around policy and budget. Today we're going to start with an overview of key policy bills from the 2013 session and then do a quick overview of the 2013-15 operating budget as it relates to early learning. So starting right in with policy bills, House Bill 1968 directs the state fire marshal to change the rules so that kids who attend classes in a school building during school hours can stay there in that same building to participate in before and after school programs. Right now, different versions of the fire code are used for schools than are used for licensed school-age care, and that has caused a lot of concerns for certain school-age programs. The fire marshal is leading this work to update their rules and, in fact, have draft proposed rules out for public comment right now. Another bill that has to do with child care licensing is House Bill 1547. This bill means to clarify that certain school-age programs are exempt from child care licensure so long as the programs meet certain criteria. Those criteria are that the program provides recreational or educational programming for school-age children only, that it is a drop-in model where children are free to come and go, that the program doesn't assume formal custody or responsibility for the child in lieu of the parent unless it has to do with transportation, that the program is a local affiliate of a national nonprofit and is in compliance with all safety and quality standards set by the national agency. If you have any questions about whether and how this legislation applies to your program, please talk to your local DEL licensing office. You can find their contact information on our website. The next bill that we wanted to talk about was Senate Bill 5157. This has to do with child care subsidies and making sure that these benefits reach the families that deserve and are entitled to them. The bill requires the Department of Early Learning to refer all suspected incidents of child care subsidy fraud to the Department of Social and Health Services Office of Fraud and Accountability for investigation and action. The bill states that it does not limit DEL or DSHS from collecting overpayments or seeking other remedies legally available, including criminal investigation or prosecution. This bill simply puts into law our current practice, what we already do when we suspect child care fraud, and it allows us to continue collecting overpayments as needed. Another bill that has to do with child care subsidies is Senate Bill 5595. The goal of this bill is to make sure the child care subsidy system works well for families and is as streamlined as possible. The bill has several components. First, it requires DEL and DSHS to provide training on professionalism to employees who work with families who apply for or receive Working Connections child care. We will be delivering this training to our staff in the coming weeks and months. And this is really about making sure that we offer high-quality customer service to families. Second, the bill requires DEL to simplify child care subsidy rules. Much of the bill came from a study of the system that DEL paid a contractor to do last year. That report found that we can simplify some of our rules and processes. We have a work plan in place with the Department of Social and Health Services to simplify our rules and processes. If you want to read that contractor's report and the work plan that we created in response to it, please go to our website, click on Government Relations, then State Legislature, and then Reports to the Legislature. You can find those documents there. Finally, the bill creates a legislative task force on child care subsidy improvements. DEL does have representation sitting on this task force. The group also includes legislators, child care providers, families, and other advocates and stakeholders. The task force must make recommendations to Governor Inslee and the legislature by December 31st, 2013 on ways to streamline the subsidy system and make sure that families have access to benefits. Moving on to House Bill 1872, this bill was requested by Governor Jay Inslee. It's about making sure our education system, early learning through higher ed, includes a focus on science, technology, engineering, and math, or what is commonly known as STEM. The bill sets up a new STEM Education Innovation Alliance to advise the governor on STEM education initiatives. The bill also requires DEL and other state education agencies to report annually on how our policies, activities, and expenditures of public resources align with and support STEM. The state will also establish an innovation fund and offer competitive grants and extend STEM professional development. We are particularly excited that early learning is included in this legislation because we know that young children have a very natural aptitude and interest in these areas. And so we are very glad to see that the state has acknowledged that and the hard work that you all do in early learning every day to make sure children are excited about science and math. Moving on to House Bill 1203, which has to do with public records. This was a bill that the Department of Early Learning requested the legislature to consider during the 2013 legislative session. The bill allows DEL to exempt children's names and identifying information from records before we release them in response to public records requests. As of July 28th, when the bill takes effect, we will no longer have to ask the requester's permission to redact children's names and identifying information. We're excited that this bill passed because it really is about children's privacy, and we look forward to it going into effect later this month. Next, we have Senate Bill 5809, which has to do with home visiting. The bill makes some changes to the Home Visiting Services account. This account is where public, state, and federal home visiting dollars are deposited. The bulk of the funding is then contracted out to our partners at Thrive by 5 Washington, who match it with privately raised dollars and deliver home visiting to families around the state. The bill makes some technical changes needed by our federal home visiting grant. The bill also increases transparency and accountability in the home visiting program by requiring DEL and Thrive to report to the legislature if Thrive does not match the public funds at least 50%. The report must include a plan to meet the 50% match the following year. The bill does not withhold public home visiting funds if the private match is not secured. It's really about making sure legislators have clear and accurate information about home visiting funding streams and how we're using these dollars to support vulnerable new families in our state. Senate Bill 5904 has to do with ensuring that state investment in preschool yields a good return on that investment. The bill directs the Washington State Institute for Public Policy, which is housed at the Evergreen State College and does research for the legislature, to do a retrospective study of ECAP. That means that the Institute will look back at past ECAP participants and evaluate social and educational outcomes for them. The Institute also is tasked at looking at the impact on child outcomes of key program variables, such as funding, staff salaries, education level of staff, and how much time kids got in the classroom. The report is due to the legislature by December 15th of 2014. We will be working with the Institute staff as they design their research study to make sure that it measures how well children have done and how much ECAP has impacted their outcomes. Moving on to House Bill 1723, which is a very large, wide-ranging bill having to do with the early learning system as a whole. The overall goal of the bill is to help build an integrated early learning system so that whether children are in childcare or preschool or a mix of both, they're getting high-quality early learning all day. Among the bill's provisions, first, it allows schools administering the Washington Kindergarten Inventory of Developing Skills, or WCIDS, to use up to 3 school days at the beginning of the school year to meet with families and create strong teacher-parent partnerships from the start. WCIDS is our state's kindergarten readiness assessment process. It has 3 components: data gathering, meetings between families and teachers, and meetings between teachers and early learning providers to build all of those very critical partnerships at the start of the school. Second, the bill requires ECAP, our state-funded preschool, to participate in Early Achievers by July 1st, 2014. Early Achievers is our state's quality rating and improvement system. It's our state's overarching quality improvement structure for early learning programs, and we're excited that ECAP will be joining this program. Next, the bill requires DEL to consider support of a mixed delivery system of early learning when reviewing applications for delivering ECAP services. So this is about as ECAP expands over the coming years due to the fact that it is an entitlement by 2018. We need to have new and different providers coming to the table to help deliver these high-quality services. That includes some of our current contractors, that includes child care providers and others, to make this a true mixed delivery system that delivers high-quality services where families want and need them. The bill also requires an online feature for child care providers to post comments upon development of an early learning information system. Although DEL has never been funded for an early learning information system, we continue to enhance our child care check function on our website as we can, as resources allow. And this is something we will look at in the future as resources allow. Next, the bill requires license-exempt child care providers to participate in continuing education if funds are available. The bill requires DEL to make recommendations to the legislature every 2 years on child care subsidy and state-funded preschool rates and compensation models that would attract and retain high-quality early learning professionals. I will note that a section of the bill was vetoed that would have had legislators convening DEL and DSHS staff to look at state and federal early learning funding streams and see how we can better align those funding streams to serve children. Although that section was vetoed, we are committed to working with the House and the Senate on looking at early learning funding streams and how we can better blend and braid them for high-quality early learning opportunities for children. Those are the key early learning policy bills that passed during the 2013 legislative session. Now we're going to move to a quick overview of what the 2013-15 state operating budget holds for early learning. I will mention that this is a wonderful budget for early learning. We're very excited that the legislature and the governor has placed such an important emphasis on our youngest learners. All of the things in the state operating budget that have to do with early learning help support our state's 10-year early learning plan, really moving forward our roadmap for building a high-quality early learning system. And as we move through this budget, I will call out which strategies within the early learning plan each of these things support. First, the budget expands Washington's state-funded preschool program for low-income 3- and 4-year-olds. We at the Department of Early Learning will add 350 enrollment slots to ECAP in the upcoming 2013-14 school year, and another 1,350 slots in the 14-15 school year. Funding is provided to even out the slot rate across the state by the end of the biennium, and to enhance program quality and oversight to ensure that children are getting a high-quality early learning experience no matter where they are in the state. I will mention that for the 350 slots in this upcoming school year, they are being absorbed by our current ECAP contractors. But in the 2014-15 school year, we will be issuing an RFP to help expand those slots out into the community. And that is when we will be able to explore bringing child care providers in to offer ECAP services around the state, which we're very excited about. Expanding ECAP is Early Learning Plan Strategy number 12, expanding and enhancing ECAP. So we're very excited that the legislature has helped us move forward this key strategy in our early learning plan. Next, the legislature added $1 million in state funding to Washington's home visiting system, which offers voluntary support and resources to expectant parents and families with new babies and young children. We are excited to add these new state dollars to the mix of our state, federal, and private dollars that support home visiting, which is a key strategy in our early learning plan. It's strategy number 5, make home visiting available to at-risk families. Next, the budget places a strong emphasis on building a preschool through 3rd grade continuum. So that means that the investments made in early learning and the gains children make in those years are sustained through their early grades of K through 3. And this is supported by research that shows that if you have a strong pre-K through 3rd grade continuum, children will continue to grow, learn, and thrive. The budget increases state-funded full-day kindergarten from reaching 22% of kids to 43% of incoming kindergartners for the coming school year. It also adds state funding to support teacher training on WAKIDS, our state's kindergarten readiness assessment. So this portion of the budget supports 2 key strategies in our state early learning plan. Strategy number 28, implement kindergarten readiness assessment, and strategy number 29, implement phased-in full-day kindergarten. Finally, the state operating budget includes some exciting increases in child care subsidy rates for Working Connections child care. First, the budget includes a 2% base rate increase for child care providers who offer care that is subsidized by the Working Connections child care program. Secondly, the budget places an emphasis on quality early learning by boosting subsidy and reimbursement by another 2% for child care providers who join Early Achievers, our state's quality rating and improvement system. Enhancing childcare subsidies is Early Learning Plan Strategy number 33, and we are excited to see this movement toward enhancing subsidy base rates and placing an emphasis on quality childcare for children. The budget continues funding for DEL's work to build an electronic child care subsidy attendance system by 2015 and supports DEL's audit team to help ensure that child care subsidy billing is accurate. We're excited that the legislature is continuing efforts to ensure integrity in the subsidy program, make sure that providers know how to bill, and make sure that parents have access to this resource. So that is the budget and policy in a nutshell. If you want to learn more, please go to our website, click on Government Relations, and then State Legislature. You'll find there legislative briefing documents on a whole host of early learning topics. We've posted high-level plans for how we're going to implement key legislation passed this last legislative session. And we also link to some presentations that our staff make to the legislative committees during session. If you have any questions about how legislation affects you or the budget affects you, please feel free to email us anytime at communications@del.wa.gov or ask your child care licensor. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is just a reminder to stay connected with us via social media, our website, and our blog. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you want to hear more about. Thanks so much. Have a great day.